Hello everybody, and welcome to How to Make Your Wife Happy and Healthy. Today we're cooking one of my wife's favorite dishes. It doesn't take a lot of prep, but it does take a little while to cook. Fortunately though, this dish is good almost no matter how you prepare it. Very hard to mess it up. The downside is, it can be a little costly. So come on everybody, let's get cooking. Today we're going to make a standing rib roast, or if you order at the restaurant, it's called the prime rib. Now the downside of this cut is that it's costly, but you might be able to find it cheap somewhere else. The upside, there's no real wrong way to cook it. We're going to go through a very simple, easy recipe that almost anybody can follow. Let's first look at the ingredients. Okay, right here is a cooking sheet. Well, you can see this is my roasting pan. It's cheaply done. It's nice to put aluminum foil at the bottom. The aluminum foil keeps all the juices away from the pan, making for easier cleanup. And the rack is there to keep the roast off the bottom of the pan. Don't really necessarily need to do that, but it's helpful. I do that usually whenever I cook in the oven. You'll see that multiple times, that setup. It's really fun, convenient setup. Here is our standing rib roast. You can see the price of it. This one's called the bone-in rib eye roast. That's the name of it. You can see the price. I got a cheaper version. Very rare you can find a $4 a pound version, which is one of the cheapest meats I've ever seen for this. You can see the spice we're going to use. We use some pepper, some oil, some onion powder, and garlic powder. And that's it. That's all you're going to need. Okay, we're going to bake it at a really high temperature to get a nice crispy outside crust. We're going to use 500 degrees for the first 30 minutes, 20-30 minutes or so. Get a nice crispy crust on the outside. Okay, we've rinsed off the meat with water, dried it a little bit, so now we're going to take the 2 tablespoons of olive oil and spread it all over, top and bottom. So the bottom side right now is what you're seeing. The upside we're going to put down the bottom of the rack. We're just going to pour on the oil and rub it all around. Make sure all of it gets the oil, top, bottom, and the sides. You're going to need to lift it up and move it around to make sure it all gets on there. Get a nice coating. Why do we do this? It makes a nice crisper coating with the oil, and it also helps the powders that you see on the left stick to the meat. So you want to make sure oil on the other side. Now this is the fatty side. We always cook the standing rib roast with the fatty side on top. That's the side that gets cooked on the top. It helps the juices flow into the meat better. It makes it nice and makes it nice and juicy. Keeps all the juices inside. We also have another trick for keeping the juices inside later, which is after we cook it, we just let it sit for 20 to 30 minutes. Let it just sit before you cut it so all the juices stay in. So now we have the 3 spices I'm going to use. 2 tablespoons of garlic powder, that's the yellowish one. That one. 1 tablespoon of onion powder, and a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. That was freshly ground from a grinder that we used earlier. You want to make sure you mix it all together. Mix it all together. Don't just leave it as one bunch. Mix it together before you put it on. You can mix with your fingers, you can mix together with a fork or a spoon, whatever you like. Get it nice and blended so you have a nice even mix when you put it on the roast. Even mixing. Okay, so now we're gonna, that looks pretty good. So now we're going to put it all over the roast. Top, bottom, sides. Nice layer. We're also going to use our hands to rub it all in. Make sure it's nice and evenly around. Don't worry about spilling any off to the side. We can put that on a little bit. Want to make sure the bottom and the sides and top all get the spices on it. So you rub it all around. Some people like the end cut because it's got the most spice on it. You can see you're putting some spice on the end side as well. So that's why some people like the end cut, because it's got a lot more of the spice on it. But in general, the spice, where it's nice, doesn't really make all that much difference on your prime rib roast. It won't make much difference at all. Now if you'd saved some of the spices into your bowl before you turned it over, it would have been easier to actually put them on top. And if you didn't, you can just grab some from the side and put it on. And also the spice will help it get smoky as it cooks in the oven, and the smoke get into the meat and make it that delicious garlic and onion and pepper flavor. My family loves garlic and onion flavoring. They don't necessarily like the onion by itself all the time, especially the kids. But they love the flavor of the onion, so we often cook with onion. And I always cook with garlic because we just love garlic flavoring on anything we cook. Okay, once you have finished with it, you're going to put it bone side down on the rack. Just like that. And now it's ready for the oven. Okay, 500 degrees, ready to cook the prime rib for the first 30 minutes. Slide it right on in, a lot of juices will be coming out. It's going to cook at this high temperature for 30 minutes. Then we'll come back in 30 minutes and see what it looks like. Alright, so we've been cooking it for 30 minutes. I'm going to take a look and see what it looks like. Normally you wouldn't necessarily take it out. You're just going to change the temperature of the roast. You can see it's a little smoky there. Some brown bits on it. That's perfectly natural, perfectly fine. The brown bits are great if you're going to make gravy. Now we're going to cook it for another... Oh, now we're going to cook it for another... Good for another 60 minutes. It's going to take another hour for ours. There you go, 60 minutes. You can see it's starting to go. While it's cooking for another 60 minutes, you can make the other sides. If you want to do mashed potatoes or vegetables, whatever you want to make. If you want to add some bread, you can add some bread. And it's going to cook for a long time again. Now we're going to let it reduce down to 325, and it'll be nice and tender. It says I find that you want to cook for about 13 to 15 minutes per pound total. So that we're doing a 6-pound one. So if I do 90 minutes, which is what I did, 30 plus 60 is 90, then it should be nice and medium rare inside, which is exactly how my daughter and I like it. So you get some nice medium rare on the inside, bloody rare as my daughter likes to say. And then on the outside it's going to be a little more medium to well, which is good for my son and my wife because that's how they like it. They like their meat nice and cooked. But for my daughter and me, it's bloody rare. So now we're going to wait for another hour, do your other sides, and get those ready while it's going. Yeah, as the meat's getting ready to get done, you can see we've almost got that 60-minute timer finished. We're going to need to use a meat thermometer. This one's already marked for poultry and other things. Usually about 135, 140 is good for medium rare. You gotta kind of stick it near the middle of the bone. Near the middle. So let's see how to do that. See how our timing looks. So we take our roast out a little bit. Okay, roast out a little bit. You want to put it in. You don't want to hit the bone. You want to hit close to the bone, but right in the middle. Just see. Okay, that's too far. About there looks pretty good. You want to see how done it is on the inside. Take the temperature gauge. Looking at the red marker. Looks like it might need some more time to finish up. So you can see it's not very near done yet. So we'll just keep it, stick it back in. I'll continue baking until it's nice and ready. Okay, we've cooked for about 10 minutes. Kind of trying to look at it again, see what the temperature reading says. So you open it up. If you look at the top of it, you see the temperature of the oven says about 325, which is good, and the meat is now at about 145. 145. That's a little too much for my liking, and my daughter's liking. Really good for my wife and my son. So we're going to take it out now, and we're going to let it rest for another 20 minutes. Now that we've waited 20 minutes for it to cool down, you can take it off with your hands. I'm going to put it into another pan. You can keep all these trimmings roasted if you want to make gravy. It actually does a nice thing with the gravy. I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to switch it so when I cut it open I can save all the juices. I'm going to save all the juices from the primer. The first thing you want to do is cut off the bone part. Now you can also buy ones that actually have the bone already cut off and cooked at the same time, which is fine if you, and it's wrapped usually that way. But we're going to cut off the bones, and sometimes the bones are a little rare, so you can cook those back in. You can put them back in the oven and keep cooking them to get them nice and done. Or you can use them in soup. If you want to make a soup, you can also use those in soup. And you notice I'm using foil again. I love to use foil. It's the best way to keep the pans underneath from getting dirty. Foil you can throw away. So as I open it up, you can see the meat looks a little bit red still. And that's exactly what you're expecting to see from a prime rib roast. Nice red meat. Also, while you're waiting for that 20 minutes before you cut it, that's a good time to start working on and using and doing different side dishes. At the time we did mashed potatoes, I did some a vegetable dish, and other things that worked well with it. So we're going to take the ribs and put them aside. You can put them back in the oven and cook them longer if you want. Now it's time to carve up the roast itself. And we'll see how red it's at. Remember the thermometer said 145 degrees. According to most cooking thermometer people, that is a little bit too done for my taste. Perfect for my wife and my son. We'll see if it gets that nice red medium rareness in it, or if it's more of a medium well. So the first cut. So the end cut again has all the spice in it, so that's what the end cut is for. Now the juice that you collect in the pan below you can use to make au jus if you want to continue it. Okay, so as you look inside this primer, you can see this cut right here. See, it's nice and red. That looks like a good medium well. And so as we keep cutting, usually the ends are going to be more done than the insides. We're going to keep cutting in and doing some more cutting, carving it up, slice by slice. Now, if you're like my son, he doesn't like all the fat. If you're like my wife, she loves all the fat, so it's a nice mixture. So you got some nice that are pretty well done, and looks like we might have some nice bloody red rare ones for me and my daughter. As we get towards the center here. Cut. There, so we got some really red ones for my daughter and myself, and some not so red ones on the end for the rest of the family. Okay, for a wife, she doesn't like the bones this red. She likes to have them nice and done on the outside, so if we want to continue to cook them, we're going to continue to put them back into the oven. 500 degrees is really nice to make them crusty again if you want, or you can just set it back to 325 temperature and finish cooking them through so they don't have the blood on them. So just put them back in and cook them even longer.